Welcome to the Gaming After 40 video podcast. There's gotta be a better way! Oh, shit! On February 24th, 2010, Microsoft debuted a new channel for retro gaming, the Game Room, available on the Xbox 360 and Windows PCs. It's free to download with a customizable arcade environment and initially hosts 3 platforms: vintage coin-op arcade games, Atari 2600, and Intellivision. It launched with an impressive selection of 31 games, each sold separately of course, but free to demo, with new games expected on a weekly basis. Individual games can be purchased for 240 points, about $3, for play on the Xbox 360, or 400 points, $5, to play anywhere, which currently means on the 360 or the PC. Fortunately, single-platform games can be upgraded to Anywhere status for the 160-point difference. The initial lineup of games includes, for the Atari 2600, Adventure, Combat, Millipede, not the arcade version, Outlaw, Real Sports Tennis, Star Raiders, not the Atari 400-800 version, and Yar's Revenge. For Intellivision, Armor Battle, Astro Smash, Football, Sea Battle, Mountain Madness Super Pro Skiing, Space Armada, Space Hawk, and Sub Hunt. Atari arcade games: Asteroids Deluxe, Centipede, Crystal Castles, Gravitar, Lunar Lander, Red Baron, and Tempest. And Konami arcade games: Battleantis, Finalizer, Jungler, Road Fighter, Scramble, Shaolin's Road, Super Cobra, and Tutankhamun. The emulation is well handled for the most part. Vector games have that unique glowy look, with brighter light when the beam is concentrated in one area. Raster games offer several graphics filtering options: scan lines, bilinear filtering, bilinear with scan lines, and phosphor. On the audio side, something called arcade music filtering is turned on by default, and sounds about right to me with a subwoofer hooked up for the proper vintage arcade feel. I saw a little bit of emulation stuttering here and there, but the high-definition images are smooth and clean. Presentation quality for individual games is apparently left up to the publisher. The Atari arcade games include 3D models of the original coin-op cabinets. Konami's releases are lazier, delivered in generic cabinets with a logo slapped on top. But I'm pleased to see fresh games from both companies that haven't already been re-released to death. Battleantis, Finalizer, Jungler, Gravitar, and Red Baron, for example. My personal favorite is Konami's Tutankhamun, originally released by Stern in the US market back in 1982. There's never been a truly accurate home version, so I'm thrilled to have the original coin-op on hand. In unranked play, game settings can be manipulated, though it's handled through a menu rather than by tweaking the actual dip switches. The Atari 2600 and Intellivision consoles seem a little out of place in the arcade setting. I wish there was a basement rumpus room with beanbag chairs and lava lamps. And it doesn't seem right that these titles cost the same as contemporary coin-op arcade games. But the emulation is full-featured and the selection of games worthwhile, so I hope additional classic consoles turn up in the game room as time goes on. Each game includes brief historical notes, instructions, and controller mappings. It has to be said that the Xbox 360 controller isn't well suited to some of these games. Its digital D-pad isn't tremendously responsive, Tempest works a lot better with a knob than any kind of joystick, and Crystal Castles really needs a trackball, and the Intellivision virtual keypad is still a pain to deal with. Everything's playable as is, but some games do suffer in translation to the console. Game Room's customization features are interesting, although choices are limited to canned props and themes. I wish the animated mascots were more than blown-up pixel art. A stoned change attendant or costumed game character roaming the halls would be a lot more creepy. I mean, fun! Solid community features are built on Xbox Live. There are online leaderboards, of course, for ranked play with fixed settings. You can play against a friend online and issue a variety of challenges to rivals. You can even visit friends' arcades, though you can't play their games on free play unless you also own those titles. The first week the service was available, it was sometimes hard to connect to the Game Room servers. The high traffic levels bode well for the success of the service, but I hope the infrastructure stabilizes. I'm impressed with what Microsoft and developer Chrome Studios have done with the whole Game Room package. It's a solid framework for delivering classic games legally at reasonable prices, and the design balances retro authenticity with modern convenience. If we see the promised flow of new releases, maintaining the mix of popular and obscure titles we've seen thus far, this is going to be great, and a lot easier than wiring up those old arcade boards or keeping an Atari 2600 running.
My dear boy, there is a better way. If you have $3.